welcome. This is my new video about how to handle criticism part 2. In the first part, which I made already last week, I was talking about some mistakes which people make when dealing with criticism. It was basically in these two paradigms, in the passive paradigm and aggressive paradigm. And so if you want to have some idea what would be a good way how to deal with criticism, then I'm gonna talk about it in this video. And also, if you're new here, this is my channel about self-help and personal development. I post also videos on request, so if you have requests, you can also send me requests. So this is basically my channel, and if you are interested in this kind of stuff, I will be really happy if you subscribe. And also, if you enjoy this video, I'm really gonna appreciate if you're gonna give it a like. Or if you have somebody like a friend who would maybe benefit from this, I will be also very happy if you share my video. So with that being said, I'm gonna start with my video. How you technically can do it, how you can technically react to criticism in more healthy way. First thing is gonna probably happen to you is that you're gonna have some kind of emotional reaction. Depending on my last episode, you probably know if you lean towards the more aggressive side or more passive side, without me saying that you will be aggressive or passive, just that you will lean more towards one of these two strategies. You will maybe feel hurt or you will feel pissed off. I don't know which one of these best apply to you, but it doesn't really matter. It's like the initial emotional reaction, and that's what we gonna try here to reframe a little bit, because that's not the best reaction you can get. I mean, it's spontaneous, it's good to release it. If you need to release it, go ahead. But if you want to learn some other way, then this video is about it. Basically, the number one problem, what's gonna happen if you're gonna release the immediate emotion, is that you quite likely and probably are gonna get into some conflict with the other person who told you the criticism. And maybe you're gonna fight with each other, or maybe you're gonna admit everything, and there's not gonna be much room for any kind of constructive debate whatsoever. And the aim of you getting criticism shouldn't be that you should be heard. The aim of the criticism should be that you will learn something new, something constructive about yourself, and you can take it and actually develop it and work on it some more. And that's the aim of this video. So, you take the initial reaction and you pause for a little bit. You will maybe breathe in and out, you will calm down, and then you will think what are other possible reactions that getting angry at the other person or having some kind of emotional outbreak. And here is something, the second step, which actually comes after you kind of calm yourself down a little bit in your head or whatever, and that is that you're gonna make what is called cognitive reconstruction. Cognitive reconstruction is basically about the fact that you're gonna reframe and kind of think about what is going on in your head in this new way. You're gonna think about the motives of the person who told you the criticism, because there can be some motives behind what he was telling you. He could be your coworker in work, he could be criticizing you for something which, if you were listening to this criticism, it might actually help you in the future. There might actually be something very useful for you. And by you not listening to it or denying it, you're not going to learn anything new. So that's the first aim of the cognitive reconstruction, is that you will actually think about the motives of the person, and if by any chance his motives wouldn't be helpful for you, then you can think about the content of the criticism. You can think about what it means that you got criticized on this specific thing. You can think about what you personally think about the content of the criticism. Maybe this is something that you already had in your head as a doubt as well. Maybe you doubted this thing, and now this person showed this to you, brought it to light, that there is indeed some problem, and you can already see that this is something you were also thinking about, and so you guys can talk about it, and you maybe can get some feedback on it and maybe work on it a little more. And then the third part of this could maybe be, you can think about also if this is not by any chance repeated criticism, because there is one problem with repeated criticism. Sometimes it can be really unjustified criticism, because I don't know what is your situation. You could be bullied in school or in work. People might be telling you repeatedly some really bad things which are not justified. I don't know this, but it's always worth it to at least try to look at it. If this criticism is polite and justified, then look at it. If you by any chance don't get this same criticism repeatedly from multiple people at different situations, this can be basically anything. If you repeatedly get criticized for showing up late somewhere, maybe at first you feel like it's cute and it's like the part of your personality, but if several people, including the people who work with you or your friends or family, they keep complaining to you about you always showing up late, then maybe the criticism is justified and you could maybe think about it, what is going on and what is behind that, why are you always going late everywhere? But it doesn't have to be such a thing. In my opinion, this is just something really little, it's just something that I thought about right now. And so, after you do this cognitive reconstruction, this can be done in your head. It doesn't have to be as lengthy as I described it here. It can be like 1 or 2 thoughts which you're gonna give into it. And based on this reconstruction, you can actually get some idea from that. And then you can ask the person who told you the criticism to kind of specify on the criticism more. Now, you maybe will feel like you are a masochist or whatever, that you're gonna ask this person to specify on the criticism, but it doesn't have to be like that at all. The aim of asking for more detail is that at first the criticism might seem kind of harsh and kind of broad, and by you asking specific questions you might help to narrow it down. For example, I used an example of a presentation in work in my last video about criticism. So let's just say you gave a presentation and somebody commented on it really badly and they said that the presentation sucks. That's very broad. If the presentation sucks, it's very broad and it can be definitely narrowed down. So you can ask this person, okay, you're saying that my presentation sucks, but you could maybe be more specific, like what exactly sucks about this presentation. And then this person can tell you, well, what sucks about it is the structure of the presentation. You're jumping from one thing to another, it doesn't make any sense. And you can be like, okay, so problem is the structure, I'm jumping from one thing to another, but otherwise the content is good, so I should just like arrange it differently. And then the person can think about it and they can tell you, yeah, I guess that could work. If you arranged it differently and made it more cohesive, then it could be fine. And you are like, okay, that's the only thing that bothers you about my presentation. And then the person can tell you, yeah, it's the only thing that bothers me. And suddenly you can feel like really amazing in some way, because what was wrong wasn't the entire presentation, but only a part of it. And also, if you were doing cognitive reconstruction properly, you can also see already that this is just an opinion of one person. It doesn't have to be opinion of everybody. You don't even have to take it. You can disagree with this criticism. You can say, I think that the structure is fine. I made it like this because if I did it differently, it wouldn't make sense in this other way. And then the person can even agree with you. But the point of this, that you ask questions and you try to explain what were your motives behind that, is that you will get into this constructive debate with this other person and you can actually get something from that. You can actually get useful feedback, and maybe after you will talk it out with this person and you will leave the room and go outside or whatever, you can actually think for yourself amazingly that if you just had the first initial reaction, which would be like hurt or pissed off or whatever, you would think that your presentation sucked, and maybe you would think about it for the next 2 days or whatever and you would feel down. And then maybe you would even remember it after a longer period of time and you would feel really bad for that. But since you did the cognitive reconstruction and you talked it out, you released the energy and everything, then you might feel really good after that, and you might even feel like it was constructive and it moved you somewhere better. You might even like make the presentation better, or you might find out that the suggestion of the other person was really bad and you would stick to your original opinion. There is also something which is really interesting about criticism, because many times, not every time, but many times, people who criticize, they have this talent of pinpointing something that is really wrong. But when you ask them, okay, this is wrong, how would you do it so that it would be right? And suddenly they have blank. Because they can only see what's wrong in something, but they're not constructive in a way that they would be able to build something. Usually, this can be like tendencies in humans, that some people are just naturally like creative and they create and create and create, and then some people are just not as creative, or in my opinion they are creative, but they're not using their potential and they have more time to look at what other people created and then they criticize on that. It doesn't have to be as simple as that. I think we all have these tendencies in ourselves, but I just think that, like, I can see it already in myself. When I'm creating something, I don't have as much time or energy, or I don't even want to criticize other people. I don't feel like that. But I can easily see how this tendency can develop in people, and it can be really strong. And if you want to get to a whole another level of personal development, then I have one little tip for you also here. If you want to really advance in your development, then also what is good is that you can also, in the discussion, you can also watch your language and you can look at the kind of phrases you are using. You can look at the words you are using, and you can, instead of using you statements, you should always stick to the first person statement. So, instead of saying to the other person, you are an idiot for thinking such a thing. You say, I am hurt by what you said. I don't understand what was wrong with it. You always talk about yourself. You don't drag the other person into it. You don't speak for anybody else. You don't label anybody and you don't point fingers. And if you stick to this strategy, it's gonna really move you upper, because this other person is gonna see that you are not pointing fingers, you are not attacking him, you are not aggressive, you just speak about yourself, and maybe they can even, if they criticized you harshly, they can even apologize to you. But they don't have to. That's like one possibility. And so this is really amazing way how you can deal with criticism in a healthy way, and you can gain something positive out of it. And I would also advise to you, if you want to start with this, first thing that I would tell you is to pull out a piece of paper maybe right now or after this video and write for you some situations in which you were criticized and how you reacted, and you can train yourself and try to do this cognitive reconstruction and think about all the things I told you here right now, like the motives of the other person, repeated criticism, content of the criticism, how you could think about it constructively, how you could use this to have it some kind of positive impact on your life, and so on. And then when you actually will get criticized in the real life, you will think about this exercise and you will be able to use these strategies faster. Because if you just watch this video and then you get criticized in the real life like a month after this, then you're not gonna remember. But if you really train yourself, it's gonna make some really great impact on your life. This is actually something which I was saying in my previous videos, and I for some reason stopped saying that. But if you really wanna advance and develop yourself, you're really gonna have to work on yourself every single day, at least for a little amount of time. Like even if you gave it like 5 minutes, if you every day dedicated 5 minutes of your time to your personal development, and you would like maybe meditate or contemplate or wrote a journal or even did this exercise with criticism, it would advance you so much in the long term, not in a short term, because with this kind of small amount of time you're not going to make much progress in a short term, but in the long term you can really advance and develop. And this is something I would really highly recommend to you if you want to progress. And that's probably everything from me for my today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I will be really glad and happy if you give it a like, or subscribe to my channel, or share this with a friend who might benefit from it. And that's everything, and have a nice now, and I will see you next time with my next video. Bye.